Okay, so sorry guys, my laptop got crashed. But let's start. So where are we when we were asking? I think that okay, if we want to count the number of words throughout the session, then what we need to do, right? So let's start it again. So what I was telling you guys that okay, to maintain the state, we have one operation or one transformation which we call is update state by key. What this update state by key operation is doing, it is updating the state by key. As simple, updating the state means some state store, and it is updating by key. So let's say we have one key as hello, and then if it occurred one time in the previous batch, it will have hello comma 1, right? And if we have hello came again 1, so what it will do, it will see key here from here, and then it will add 1 plus 1, and then it will produce one more result like hello comma 2. Okay, let's see how it works in practicality. Okay, so we go here and so let's go here, and where is my other package? So source streaming, and this is our static word count program. We have ran it, right? And string Scala is one. So let's close this first quickly so that it will give some space to us. Okay, let's see now. So what we are doing here, we are doing again the same thing. So, okay. So now before I jump to more practical, I need to tell one more thing. How this update state key function, update state by key operation will know which state it needs to maintain, right? What we mean by state, right? What we mean by state and what we need to read when we are going for the next operation. Obviously don't know, right? So we need to tell this guy that okay, you need to do this operation, you need to add hello comma 1 here, and when we want you to update some information, you need to match hello with hello, and you need to give key here, and you need to add this previous key with the new key and give us some result, right? We need to tell this thing. It's a story, right? So we have some state store. We are guiding our program that okay, whenever a new key value pair come, you need to take that key value pair, update that key value pair into state store. Whenever the same key value pair comes again, you need to read the previous value from the state store and take the value, add that value to the current value and give us the result. Something like this. Now, to tell this thing, what we need to do? We need to write a program, or we need to write a function, right? So let's see here. Let's go for one thing. Same thing what we are doing here. We are saying, okay, create a Spark streaming context, right? But this time, create a checkpoint directory. Create a checkpoint directory. Checkpoint directory means a directory where your state store will be stored, okay? And what you need to do, you need to read the information from this particular host and this particular port. Same thing. Split all the lines based on places. Give all the lines, all the words a 1. That means create the pair RDD. Now we have pair RDD here. Now what we need, we want to do well WC. WC means word count. Pairs dot. One second. Pairs dot update. Let's come. Update state by key, right? There's so many variation of this function available. Open anything, right? Let's remove this all optional parameter. But what it want in update state by key, it needs a update function. And what is that update function? Update function is the same story what I was telling you. which will tell this update state by key operation what it needs to do to maintain the state information and what it needs to do when a new key value pair come and how it need to read the state information, right? So it means we need to write a function and then we need to pass that function here. That function will do the same thing, that it will read and write the meta store or the state store. Now let's go here. So what we did, we defined a function. We can name this function anything, right? And then what we are saying that in that function, we need two things, right? The function, we need two things. The first thing is current value, which is coming from the console. Whenever we hit enter on the console, they're the current value. And the other thing is previous value. Previous value means if there is hello comma 1, then the previous value is 1, right? But in case of the first batch, when we are just starting our application, is there any previous value? No. It means if we have no previous value and we are trying to access it, it will give us null pointer exception, right? So what to avoid that exception, Spark gave us one option, and that option is called option. Simple. So what we are saying that if the value previous value exists, give that value to us. If doesn't exist, then let it be. So option will return you two values. I'm just going in the Scala. Option will return you two value, sum or none. It won't return you null or null point exception. Okay. So and what it can return? It can return option. Like this function will have two parameters, current values, which we will be passing through the console, and the previous value, which it will read from the state store. And since state store for the first time can have null values or empty, that's where we are calling it option, right? And the result of this function can be nothing or can be something, right? And what we are doing from the current value, we are saying that sum the current value, and what is previous value? Just get the previous value from the state store. Get or else, if there is something, get it. If there is nothing, let it be. And then we are passing, returning current plus previous value. So the same story what I was telling you, right? If you guys want to know it again, let me explain it. So let's say we passed hello into the console and we hit enter, right? So ideally onto our console, what it will come? Hello, comma 1. So this is the output on the console, right? But since we are using update state by key, and we are passing update function here, and this update function is using your current value, previous value, right? Into this case, what is the previous value? Nothing, null. So if we are not using option and we are adding current value plus previous value, it will be null pointer exception, right? And that's where we put this thing into option, or we call this previous values option, right? So for the first time, it will be like it has nothing, so it will give us hello comma 1. Next time when we hit hello again, what it will do? It will take the previous value, right? It will take the previous value. What was the previous value? 1. So it will give us 1 here into your previous value count. Into your current value, what is the current value? 1 again. So the current value is equal to 1. And what we are returning? PV plus CV. That is 1 plus 1. Right? This is the most ideal way. Now let's say if our window is of 5 seconds and we hit hello, hello, hello. Right? So in this case, what our program is doing? Our program is doing something like this. Hello, comma, 1, 1, 1. So what we are doing here, from the current value, for the current value, we are calling sum operator. So what our current value will be doing? Current value will sum all these, and then the previous value is 1. So what it will do? It will be like current value dot sum plus previous value dot get. Current value dot sum gonna be 3. Previous value dot got will be 1. 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. This is how it is working, and this is what we wrote in Scala in 3-4 lines, right? Let me explain it. So it may be sequence of integers, right? The previous value is option. The result will be option. Option means it can be sum or none. Then the current value, the current values which we are coming, we are summating them, right? And to sum all the values as S into the sequence list, and then we are getting the previous status value, and then we are returning the sum or the result, right? And then we are passing this update function. Let's copy it, and we are passing that function here, right? And then what we are doing, wc dot print. Okay, so let's see here, and let's comment this, and let's comment this as well. Everything's cool. And then we are starting the Spark streaming application, and then we are waiting for the termination from the user end. Let's run it. So what it will say, it will fail because we haven't started our terminal yet. In fact, let's see what it is running. Running status. Let's stop it. I want to run this streaming application. So let's stop it first. And we'll say run as Scala application. So it will fail, and we will make it work. Okay, let's wait for 2 minutes. So we came to know what is state store and how to maintain a state store into your Spark streaming application. We always need to give the checkpointing directory. I think I have started this terminal, right? Oh yeah. No, I haven't started it. And it should, what application it is running? 1 second, let's see. So it is running streaming strange. Let's stop this, and let's pass this as 5, right? So what is going on, let me explain. Since my laptop got crashed and I opened the application on 6444 on NCLK, like my Netcat application, so that port is still open and my program is still connecting to that port, but I won't be able to see it because I won't be able to connect to that port, right? Simple. So now if I run this application again, it will fail. Why? It will say that it will, the connection to this port is failing. So what we will be doing, let it fail first. Fail in the sense, not the application, but the connection, right? So there are 2 types of failure. One is application failure. Our application will not fail. See, this part I'm talking about, right? What it is saying, that receiver restarting delay, whatever, and it is not able to connect to this port, right? So it will fail every 5 seconds, right? And now let's go here, and we will say NCLK on which port? 6445. Now it will not fail. This red errors will be gone, and every 5 seconds, see now, the connection is established. It will now wait for the data. Let's give it the data. Let's give it data like this. So now what will say, hello, hello, and hello, right? So now it take hello 3 times, right? If I give hello 1 more time, it will be hello 4 times. Why? Because it is maintaining the state now, right? If I say hi, then what it will do, it will append the hi here, and it will maintain the state again. Let's see. See? So anything, if I say hi again, it will be doing hi 2 times. So now what we can see here, that this update state by key operation is maintaining the state, and it is taking the previous value, adding that previous value to current value, and then giving us the result, right? So I printed hi 2 times more, so it is giving hi 3 times now, and now hi, it printed hi 4 times, right? If I say hello again here, then hello will be 5 times now, hi will be 4, something like this, right? So hello will be 5 times. So it means from here, let me stop this application now. So what we can clearly see, that this state, and let's copy these 2 parts again. In fact, let's copy the whole thing from here, right? So that this state thing will be clear to you guys in a very crystal clear way. So this is what we did, right? So first time and just focus on alphabets. Don't focus on this thing for a time being. In fact, so let's say we first entered hello only once. So what it did, it go to the state store. It created a key value pair. I'm just assuming, okay, I don't know what it do, but it entered this. Then again we entered hello two times, hello, hello. What it did, it created our program. What it's doing, it is doing flat map and mapping. So what it's doing, hello, comma, 1, comma 1. So this is our current value, hello, comma 1, comma 1. So this is our current value, and this is our previous value. What is our program is doing? Current value dot sum plus previous value dot get. So current value sum gonna be 1 plus 1, 2, plus previous value dot get for this key, because this is updated state by key. So obviously this whole operation is going on by key. So 1 is equal to 3. Now here 3 will be updated. Okay, 3 will be updated. Now we gave hello one more time. We gave hello one more time. So in this case, what it will do? Hello, comma, just 1, and then 3 here. So it will say current value dot sum and previous value dot get. In this case, current value dot sum gonna be 1. What it will do, it will pick up this previous state from here. It will be 3 and it will be 4. So this 4 will be updated here again. Like this is working like this. And this is the whole program. So what we can say here and what we can see here, that the functionality of our update function is very crucial here. One more thing what we are seeing here, and that I will tell you in the next few minutes, that every time for the whole session it's maintaining the state, right? For the whole session it's maintaining the state. So let's say if we are running this application for 24 hours, if we're running this application, we're not terminating it. So our state store or our checkpoint directory will be full, right? It is not the efficient information. It is not the efficient way to do the checkpointing, right? And I think nobody does like this. So what they will do, either they will maintain these session-wise information, or they will maintain the Windows-wise information, right? Now, before I jump to other operation, let me explain 2 or 3 things. Okay, so let's go here. And as I was telling you guys, that when we go for stateful operation, either we can maintain the state from the start of the session to the end of the session, but that is not a very efficient approach, because obviously if our state information is very dense, then it may impact the overall performance of the application. So what they will do, what these guys are suggesting, that okay, if you don't want to maintain the full session information, you can do 2 things. Even you can do 3 things. What you can do, you define the batch interval, right? And then you define the window, and then if you define the sliding interval. Now, what is batch interval? Batch interval is the same thing what we are creating our session, like in what we are passing into our Spark streaming context, that okay, create batch every 5 seconds. Create batch every 5 seconds. For example, when I go here, right? So this is our batch interval. Second 5 is our batch interval. So batch interval is nothing but when we need to create the batch, right? Now coming to the window length. Window length is the duration of length in seconds. So it means, let's say we have one batch of 5 seconds and we want create the window of 3 batches. So let's say our batch interval is 5 seconds. So what we can say, that 3 batches, first batch, second batch, third batch, will create one window for us. This is our one window. This is our batch. This is our window. Everything is clear, right? So batch will make a window, right? And your Spark streaming session, we will be telling Spark streaming that in how many seconds we need to create one batch. Number of events which will be coming into one batch will become one RDD, or the D streams will become RDD, right? We covered that yesterday. And number of batches how many batches will make the window, we'll call that into window size or window length. Now, what is sliding interval? Okay, it's an interesting thing. One thing before we go to sliding interval, what we are talking about? We are talking about real-time data, right? It's a continuous flow of data. So it flows like this. Every 5 seconds, your one batch is created. This is your B1. Now, B2, in fact, no, this one. It goes like this. So it will be B1, right? Here. Then B2 will come. Then B3 will come. B4, B5, and B6, something like this, right? So every, let's say this is 30 seconds data, 30 seconds, right? So what we know that every batch of 5 seconds, we know this thing. We know one more thing. Let's say we want to create the window for 15 seconds. So this will be your one window, right? This will be your one window. Now Windows is done. Now let's say we want to slide this window every 5 seconds. So what it means that the oldest RDD or the oldest block or oldest batch should be moved out of the window, and the new batch should become the part of the window. So what we are saying in simple terms, so this will be your new window. So this will be your new window. So what we did, we slided the window by 5 seconds. So now 3 concepts, right? Batch interval. Batch interval is every time when we need to create the batch. So let's say we have events coming in. So we'll wait for 5 seconds, and then we will convert this event into one batch. This is first part, and we'll call it B1. Now we need to convert these batches into windows. So let's say our window size is 15 seconds. We will take 3 batches, B1, B2, and B3, right? And then let's say our sliding interval is 5 seconds. Then we will slide our window every 5 seconds. So this thing is important. That's why I'm covering it in very detail, right? So batch interval, windows interval, and sliding interval is clear. Now, with update state by key, there is no concept of windows length or sliding interval. There's no concept, right? Because we are maintaining the full session information into the state store or into our checkpoint directory. And we know that that was not efficient. So what these people did in Spark 1.6, they have brought a new function called map with state. Now what map with state is doing, it is almost doing the same thing, but it will maintain the session information only for Windows length, only for window length. And once the window length is gone, the session information will be updated. So rather than it is appending, it is updating the session store. So the session store size will be very limited, and it will be easier and faster to write. So because of that thing, the performance of Spark streaming will become 10 times higher than as compared to update state by key. Now let's see how map with state works. Okay, this is important. So now when we go here, and this is good till here, and let's comment it. So what we'll say, let's comment this as well. So we'll say, well, again the same thing. Well, WC is equal to pairs dot map with state, right? So when we talk about map with state, it will take state specification into what we can say in simple terms. It will take the specification, like what it needs to do into that particular interval, and then it will do all this stuff based on the specification, right? So let's comment this because I've written it for you guys. So let's uncomment this part. In fact, let's uncomment this part. What we are saying here, and it's very easy to write, very easy to read. We are saying that, okay guys, with pairs call map with state, into map with state, pass this state specification function. Into this function, we need to have three parameters, right? The first parameter is key, the second parameter is value, and the third parameter is state. Okay. Now, from how we need to use key values. So from the value means your previous value, we can say. If the previous value is there, take it, right? And from the state, take the last state of that value, and then do one thing from the key, that is current state, and the sum, which is the previous state count, update the do two things. First, update the state.update, and second, give me the output. The same thing what we are doing in this update state function, but here we are updating the state here. So every time it will be appending, it will be overriding the state based on your batch interval or Windows interval. Okay. So now when we run it, so let's do one more thing. Let's uncomment this part as well, and let's run it. Okay. You won't feel the difference into the result, but behind the scene, it is text, obviously it is. Now till the time it is running, I have maintained one more notes here somewhere. Let's see here quickly. Okay. This is important, right? Update state by key can return all the previous historical data, including new, changed, unchanged data with a specified batch interval. Because update state by key must be checkpoints when it is used. Checkpoint can take up a large amount of data when the amount of data is too large, affecting performance and it's being inefficient, right? So this is what we explained in detail. Map with state only returns the value of changed key. The advantage of this is that we can only care about the key that has changed, and for no data input, we will not return the data for the key that is not changed, right? So I confused in two parts. So don't worry about this Windows interval and all. What map state with key, in map with state, we are not using that Windows interval, but what map with state is doing, map with state is only worried about the keys which are being changed. It is not taking care, or it is not worried about the key which is not changed. What it means, that if I'm saying hello and I passed hello again, and I passed hello again, so it will say hello 3, right? Till now we are good. Now if I pass hi, then what our update state by key is doing, it is reading this data as well and updating this data as well, although we are not caring about the whole data set. So in map state by key, we are only caring about the new data which is changed. So let's say now this is changed, so it will update the meta store here, and now the next time if R comes, it won't care about hi and hello, right? This is what. So now the question arises, what is the scenarios in which we need to go for update state by key, and what is the scenario in which we need to go for map with state? So update scenario by key, we need to go when we want to compare the whole historical data. So let's say we want to average consumption. The example is average consumption amount of users in different time period, or the number of times consumed, total consumption amount. Whenever we are going for total thing, and total from last, let's say 24 hours, or total from last 1 day or 2 days, then we will go for update state by key. And when we are talking about real time performance, in which we want the high performance, the latency is low, and we are not looking for the historical data, we will be going for map with state. Okay, now let's go here. So this is running, and it is obviously we are not giving any input to it. So let's give some input. Hello, hello, and hello, right? So in the next batch, it should give me hello 4 times. Let's see. Oh, sorry, I think 64445. 1 second. So what we're doing here, we are saying pairs dot this, and pairs we have created here, and then we're calling this here output state dot sum. And did we updated the checkpoint directory? Yes, we did. Ideally it should give. Let's see one more time. But the most I'll make it work, but you need to understand the difference between map with state and update state by key. It's people can ask these questions, and even they are, if they're not asking, we need to know the difference. Okay. Let's see again. Yeah, it worked. I'm not sure why it's not working. So now what I'm trying to say here, if I say hi, right? So what it will do, now let's see the behavior, then I'll explain. So it only give hi one. It didn't care about the previous window, right? So let's say if I give hi again, in last 5 seconds, it will give hi 2. And now if I give hello again, what it will do? It will give hello 3. But what it was doing the previous thing, it is like map state by update state by key or map by state are for the end user, it is working in the same way, right? But it is only giving the changed key. It is only giving the changed key. For example, if we are not giving it anything, okay, so it gives us empty window, see, because it works on real-time application. Now if we change one key, that's we give hi, it will give only hi, and it will give the previous result. So hi 4 times, right? So let's wait for 5 more seconds, and it will give us the empty window. So it gives us the empty window, right? But it maintains the history. It means every time it is not reading the state information. It is only reading the state information when we are changing something. So we change hi again. So it will go to the state store now, and it will give hi 5. See, this is why it is 10 times faster, right? Because it is going to state store only when some key is changed. If we give hello again, it will give hello 4 or 5 times, whatever it is, because it goes to the state and it did the change. This is the difference between update state by key and map by state. And the preference is to use map by state in 100% times, because literally when we are talking about real-time streaming, we don't worry too much about the historical data. Okay, so this is good. And we know the update state information as well. Now let's see what we have missed so far. So we have covered this part. Yeah, one more important thing actually, and that's not a rocket science to understand. So let's say we have one batch of 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds, new batch is created. Right? Every 5 seconds, new batch is created. Now what makes sense? Can we create a window of 14 seconds? Can we create a window of 14 seconds? We can, but does it make sense? No. Why? Because this window, if we create a window of 14 seconds, this window will be like this, right? And it may lose the data, there may be overlapping, there can be a number of complications. So what is preferable option? Always create your windows, your batch size and your sliding interval as a multiple of batch interval. So let's say if your batch interval is 5, your window size can be 10, 15, 20 as a multiple of 5, or your sliding interval will be 5, 10, 15 as a multiple of 5. And it makes sense. It's not a rocket science to understand, right? And that's where it's the best practice to always have the batch window interval and the sliding interval as a multiple of your batch interval. Okay. Few more operations. Let's see quickly. So we talked about window interval, sliding interval a lot. Now let's see how this works in the streaming application. So there are a few operations which will use this. For example, update state by key, map with state are not using your window interval, but since I've explained it in a lot of detail, let's see how they works. Okay. So let's see where I have written one operation for you guys. Yeah. Okay. So let's comment this first. So we have covered map with state, right? So I've covered commenting it. Now let's say we want to count number of words in each window. Make sense? So let's say our window size, our batch interval is 5, right? Our batch interval is 5. Let's say if I only want to count the number of words occurred in every 15 seconds, it means our window size is 15, and we will slide the window every 5 seconds. So we'll move the windows ahead. We will remove the old batch. We will take in the new batch. So it means every 5 seconds we are doing this activity, removing the new batch, taking the new batch every 5 seconds. Okay. So what the function is this one. Okay. So what this function says, the function is reduce by key. It means it needs to reduce by key, but please use the window. Please use the window. And the function is, you need to give the function, the reduce function, right? Then the next thing, what you need to give the windows duration, how long your windows you need to be. And the last thing is sliding duration. Okay, so this is the function. So now what we did, we want to add the keys based on the, we need to add the values based on the keys. So this is your reduce by key. This highlighted part is the reduce by key, nothing very rocket science. The second parameter is your window size. So our batch interval is 5. So we are saying every 3 batches, create one window. Let's say we want to change the window or slide the window every 5 seconds. Let it be. Okay. And then let's print this. So we'll say wc dot print. Okay. Now this is good. Let's run it. Okay. So it will run. Ideally, everything is commented perfect. And then now let's go here. It is running, and we will give it some words. The first, so just 1 second, right? So what it is doing right now, it is creating the first batch. The first window is 15 seconds, so it will wait for 15 seconds. So when I started the program, it waited for 15 seconds to start this, right? And every 5 seconds now, it is sliding the window. Every 5 seconds now, it is sliding the window, right? So it waited for 15 seconds to start the first window, and then every 5 seconds is creating a new window. Okay. So now let's give some input here. Hello, hello, and hello. So what it is doing for me now, if I give hello in 15 seconds multiple times, it will count it, right? But after 15 seconds, once the window see what is doing, and I'll explain it to you now. Let me stop it. Let's copy it quickly, and let's go here. So what this guy did for us. Okay, so this first window is created in 15 seconds, right? This second window is created after 5 seconds. So it means what it did, this was our window, right? And we asked to slide this window every 5 seconds. So what it did, so let's say window is moving in. So our batches are coming like this. So this is our oldest batch. In fact, let's go like this. This is our oldest batch, 1, 2, 3. This is our first window, which is created here, right? So what we are doing, we are asking that, okay, and this is our new batch coming every 5 seconds. So what we are asking it, that create a new window like this. So this interval is your sliding interval. So every 5 seconds, this is your sliding interval, sliding, right? So for the first sliding interval, we haven't give. So it means for 20 seconds, we haven't given input. Now we give this input, hello one, and it produced data for us, right? Now, one more important thing here, what I need to show you guys, then I give, here I only give these 2 inputs, and here I give hello one again, like hello again. So what it did, since the window is not yet slided, it means the window, okay, let me explain more easier way. So this hello might be here somewhere or might be here somewhere. So when the window is slided and this is evicted, then this hello and the previous hello were added, and that's where we get hello 2. Okay, now one more thing here is, so what it happened, hello 2 for last 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. Now this result and this results are gone. When we give hello here again, so this whole window has been slided or gone and new window has been created. This is how window sliding works, right? So every time the older D stream or the batches will move out of the window and the calculation will be done only on the current window. So the calculation will be done only on the current window. So if it's hello here, hello here, hello here, the hello will be 3 times. If the window is slided and new window came and this is empty, then hello will be 2 times. If the window slided again and there's nothing, then hello will be 1 time. If window slided again and we are not giving anything, and it will be empty, something like this. So very easy to understand. Window calculation will be done only on the active window. The RDDs or the data frames or whatever are moving out will not be considered. Okay. There are a few other operations. They are very easy to understand. If you want, I can explain it, but nothing very rocket science to them. For example, when we say pairs dot count, say here, count by window, count by value and window, count by value. So for example, count by window. What it is saying, it is asking for 2 parameters, window duration and sliding duration. So what it will do, it will just count the number of events into that window. So what we'll do, let's do it. See, it's very easy to understand, right? And let's put this into val count is equal to, and let's comment this, let's print cnt. Okay, and let's run it now quickly. Let's remove this part, let's run it. And let's open it. So now try to understand that thing. Okay, and it will be very easy to understand now, because we are not worrying about the word counting, we are worried about the event counting. Okay, so let's see. It is doing the same thing, but it is just printing the number of events. Okay, so it takes 15 seconds to create the first event, and it's creating empty windows for us, or empty something for us, right? So let's say we give only 1 event and hit enter. It gave 1, right? Now let's see how long it will give us 1. It should give us 1 3 times. 1 1 and 1. Now the window has been completely slided, so it is 0 now. Okay, now let's give hi hi hi. It should give us 3, and it should give us 3 for 3 windows, right? Because window has been slided once, twice, thrice, whole batch is gone now. Now what I'm trying to prove here, if I give hi 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 hi, what it will do, I'm just proving the concept of sliding of window. So now the maximum count is 7 6. It will start moving and sliding the window, and the events will be reduced now. Okay, this is how count by key work, right? Similarly, other key operations will work, count by window and key. It's very easy to understand, but the only concept what you guys need to understand is windows and sliding interval and batch interval, and everything will be easy to understand. When we talk about update state by key, you need to give the update function. When you are working with map with state only works with only hit the state store if there's some any changes. If there's no changes, it won't hit the state store. So it is very efficient, even 10 times faster than update state by key. I think that's all for today. Tomorrow we will be covering structured streaming. So today we have, like, for last 2 days we have only covered Spark streaming, and we talked about low level operations. But what these guys did in Spark 2.0, they created something called Spark streaming, Spark structured streaming, on which we can work on data frames. And you know, guys, right? Working with data frame is super easy. So let's start tomorrow Spark structured streaming. Okay. Thank you, guys.